Okay, we got
Yeah.
DJ Marky D. We're gonna bring him in. Marky D, how you doing? How you
Welcome.
feeling today? Welcome to
Good.
the welcome to the first Behind the DJ. Obviously, it's to get to know guys like you. And how you doing?
I'm good. Actually, I'm actually honored to be part of this because not only do you get to interview me, but people also get to see a different side of you. Because every time they see you, you're just the hype guy, right?
Me?
So they're also going to get to see a little bit of you, and they're going to get a chance to see kind of how you present yourself and more about your personality and stuff as well. So we'll do a deep dive into some of the roots of the Toronto dance music scene and see what we
Yeah,
got.
making me nervous here. Making me nervous. Anyway, so yeah, so I mean, you've been a part of the channel for what is it? Almost 2 years now, right? I
Mm-hmm.
asked you to come on, and a lot of people don't really know much about you. Why don't you tell us how you got started in,
Well,
in DJing and in music, or yeah, what?
you know what? Let's start with that. But let's start
Yeah.
how I first got on the channel. How you kind of
Okay.
you want it
Yeah.
from your point of view, or do you want it from my point of
No,
view?
sure. Yeah, we'll do my point of view when obviously our channel started growing. It started growing on a worldwide scale,
Hmm.
but what was lacking was a lot of like local support, right? And my idea was to try and get some DJs that I personally grew up listening to come on the channel, and I figured what better person than you, right? Since you've
Hmm.
been, you've been in the industry for a long time. You love the music. You seem to have a passion for the music, and I asked you, and I could tell that at first you were a little bit hesitant, a little bit hesitant. But we got you on, and then after we got you on only audio, and then the
Yeah,
second time we got you on,
first one was just audio, right?
yeah, and then the second
Yeah.
time we got you on via video, which was great, and I believe ever since then you've kept coming back. So I mean, there must be something that you enjoy, right, about the channel.
Yeah. So what happened is you were that kind of. I think you left me about 3, 4 voicemails, and you're like, "I want you to come on. I want you to come on."
Yeah,
When the pandemic started, I wasn't really keen on the whole streaming thing, the DJing thing. Ended up doing it because we had the advantage to, not just to kind of go out there and kind of have a freedom to just do what we want. So it was pretty cool. And I remember you messaging me a few times. The reason I was a little bit hesitant is because I didn't really know what was going on. So I ended up was also contacted by a few other people. Delirious and Alex K and Iceman. They had their Wednesday, and then Mark had his other Wednesday, and there were a bunch of other guys doing way back Wednesday Euro things. And Douchebag Guido asked me to do one of those things, and I was like, yeah, I'll do them all. I'm doing a Wednesday show anyway.
yeah,
But then I watched a few of them, and I was like, this is unique. Like the crowd, audience, they really know the music. They really appreciate it. Some local and some, international. So I was delighted to do it. And I remember the first one we did was an audio mix. And then after that, I said, let's do it on video. And then over I think I've done about 5 or 6 of them. We've always incorporated a theme, whether it's a countdown,
yeah.
closer to Canada Day, we did an all Canadian. We did a freestyle one. We did a classic house one. We've always had themes, and I think it's been fun to do more or less of a bigger deep dive into all the different types of genres, right? Like I remember when we did the Canadian Euro, most people didn't think there was 2.5 hours of Canadian Euro out there, but we managed to do it
Yeah.
and all the rest of that stuff, right? So it's been a lot of fun, and I think we've had a chance to really do a deep dive into some of the music.
You've been like doing this like Twitch stream stuff for a long time. How did that get started?
Actually, that only started in the pandemic, and I actually felt I was sort of late to the game. So what ended up happening was a bunch of people jumped on it right away, and I was kind of like, the idea of going down the basement and just, kind of DJing in front of a screen, essentially, I wasn't really too keen on. But then I was like, you know what? I can go down there and just have some fun, and just the people will react, and I have a chance to play the niche. And like I've said several times on Twitch, I thought that when my Minaj Lot 332 all ages days were over, that was it for just being able to play 3 hours of Euro. I know that when I would go into some of my other gigs, I'd be able to play like a 15, 20-minute set. And it's just the usual, right? Mallorca, then if you cannot, and then like you're out of it. So the ability to go in and do like a full deep dive and still pull out all this stuff, I thought those days were gone. What Twitch actually brought back. that passion and brought back that ability to go on and play all that fun stuff again. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, I mean, you've kind of showed us on your Twitch stream. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. But every Wednesday. But you've shown us the setup that you have. It's quite intricate, right? How did that? Did you just kind of like build it up, or
No, so my first couple Twitch streams was just the video,
Yeah.
like nothing else, just music videos. No talking, no mic. It was just, kind of figuring it out. And then I watched a bunch of other streamers and watched that you have to get more interactive. You have to get a lot more into it, and people want to see you on camera. So I went on Amazon and bought this whole green screen kit, which is essentially the backgrounds of it. Unfortunately, today I'm on the laptop, not on my phone, so I can't show everybody behind the scenes of what it looks like. But basically, there's 4 spotlights, a camera. I watch everything on a television, and front to end, it's about 15 to 20 feet. This big setup. There's cameras that remove the shadows behind me, and it's a much bigger, elaborate thing. You have to have the space, and I have the space. I have it in the basement, so I'm able to do it all. But I wanted to up the game, and when I first went on Twitch, I wanted to see a lot more. I wanted to basically, the green screen allows you to take out the background, and what that allows you to do is basically put yourself in any scene. So all these scenes that I have in the nightclubs and stuff, and on these big stages and looking at your like Ultra Music Festival are great. What it does is it removes the background, and then the computer graphics does the rest. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, he's got a whole crowd and everything cheering for him on and all that. Yeah, that's awesome. So, I mean, you just you do these streams just once a week usually?
Yeah, I'm still 1 foot in, 1 foot out on Twitch, right? I
Yeah.
love doing the stream. My favorite music is Euro. I do like 80s. I do like the slow jams and stuff like that. But when I come on, that's pretty much what people expect. So I'm fine with it. I do have my roots, the Wednesday night, the Waybacks, about an hour and a half. And it's basically like a family. I mean, you're there every week. A lot of the people in the chat are there on a weekly basis, and it's just like a group gathering. And kind of the only one, or one of the few people that just still maintains that kind of like group, that ground that we have. Everybody just kind of comes together Wednesday night. I do a couple other ones. Tomorrow we got the Genos of Us. You're on, I'm on at 2 o'clock, so it's earlier in the day. And then, the odd soul Ray Train and a chance to mix up some of the music stuff. But I love Euro, and, I stick to it. And as long as the crowd is still there and they're still responsive, it's, 25, 30 people, but diehards, right? And it's fantastic. So
We got the ownage Freck Hog saying you need to get Tony Monaco to come on a Saturday night as a guest.
Tony and I are good friends. Scott and I are good friends. Matt and I are good friends. I've had Tony and Matt in the stream before.
Have you?
I can bring them in once in a while, but it's obviously it'd be a lot different if they were here in person. So I'd like to come do a Saturday night with you one day. So we'll see how this COVID thing plays out. Maybe we can. We can do it. DJ MC combo.
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. So yeah, I mean, so okay, so how did you get started? How did you get started in the industry? We're gonna take it way back to when? What year was it that you started DJing, and how did you get into it?
So I don't know the year, but I was 15, which makes it probably somewhere early 90s, probably like 93, right? And all that it was they were just coming out of the house, zone. I was listening to 640, and a friend of mine mentioned 108, and I was like, you know what? I'll put it on for 1 week. I'll try it. Kind of moved my dial to 108 and was hooked ever since. This is when Chris Shepard was pioneering everything. Euro music was starting to come out. And I was like, you know what? I like this. Like, I like this kind of music, early 90s, 92, 93, I think. And just fell in love with the music. And I mean, I was like, I want to do this. So kind of screwed around for maybe a year or two, just kind of bought a mixer, kind of understood a little bit about music, did, like 1 or 2 parties back then, but really had no idea what I was doing. They were just friends, kind of just went out, did it. And then, kind of branched out with a couple guys, and they were doing some of the club stuff. So I started kind of following them around, seeing all the stuff, learning the music, kind of learning how everything works. They would kind of let me play around for like the first 20, 30 minutes until anybody got in the club. And then eventually caught a break. This girl I was dating at the time was involved with the nightclub Shock, and that was my first actual gig. Believe it or
Wow.
not, was Shock, and it was a huge. Everything was all ages back in the day. I wasn't even of age to go there. So Shock did a bunch of stuff. Met Iceman, a very good friend of mine, fantastic guy, and he really helped me excel. From then, did Club 108 with him. Was also part of Wet Jam, if you remember them.
Yeah.
Doing some stuff down with them at the docks. And Steve, actually ended up having an office with Steve. He was Showtime, so ended up working with them. So I was actually kind of working with all the different crews, right? Kind of doing some of the all ages stuff. And I mean, at that point, you go on and you just play, all ages. You just play 20, 30, 20, or 2-3 hours of Euro. That's all they wanted, right? Urban wasn't really there, and if it was, they kind of just had their own DJ who would come in and do an urban set. And then all ages just did that for a couple of years, and then I was playing at the docks, and Russell said, this is pretty good, I started to do some other formats, and they said, why don't you come in on one of the 19 plus nights? So I started doing kind of the docks on Saturday. On Friday. Storm actually was doing Saturday. He was going to be on our raid train tomorrow. So him and I are good friends. We go way back. So started doing, the all ages. Kind of some of the club owners graduated me into the 19 plus stuff. I was working with this guy Hung, who was also part of Wet Jam and doing these Asian parties, and he also got me into different clubs like Meow and stuff like that. And just had some fun with it. And then eventually started getting into some of the 19 plus stuff, and kind of went from there.
So you weren't of age when you started doing 19 plus parties?
No, I was 18.
You were 18.
But I think the legality rule is you can work there at 18. You just can't drink until you're 19. So
yeah.
But basically, when I turned 19, that was when everything kind of, it was a little bit easier to not be able to get in. I didn't have to worry about kind of getting in. So just a variety of clubs all over the city, and just a bunch of different promoters who, kind of kept me on as their DJ.
Now, were your parents always supportive of this, or did they give you a hard time? They weren't.
So I had I got my license, when I was 16, and pretty much had a 12 o'clock curfew. But when I was DJing, you can't be home at 12 o'clock, right? So there's some exceptions that go with that rule. So I kind of had to push the envelope. I'm the oldest of three. Kind of had to push the envelope a little bit and kind of see how it goes. So kind of just got that. Supportive, yeah. Don't really know, when you're 16, 17, 18, and 19, if it's a future. So just had some fun with it, and, was making some money, not crazy money, but just enough to get by for all that you need at 20 years old living at home. And that was it. Just kind of, that's where it took me, right?
Okay, we got a question here by DJ Cyberog saying, what was your favorite club to DJ in?
I would say, so that's a loaded question, and I'll tell you why. There's obviously the clubs that were super nice. A club like Meow was just fantastic. Beautiful, gorgeous club. There's clubs like the Docks, which is just massive, and you just look out indoor, outdoors, just a sea of people, right? There's also clubs like Minaj, which was great because it was so small and so packed in that the energy level was incredible. And then you have like Lot 332, which is like a gorgeous club, roof opens, everything else. And then you've got stuff like Nashville North, which is just an all-out country bar, no rules, nobody cares. You can go from Euro to Shania Twain to Miley Cyrus, and then into like Drake. And the crowd just eats up everything you play. You can't play a bad song. So, for Euro, I would say Lot I enjoyed a lot better than Minaj, because at Lot I was just a DJ at the beginning. When I was at Minaj in Cherry Room, I was involved as a partner. So there's a lot more strings that went with it. I always had to worry about, there's other things going on, right? Security, doing this and that. Obviously, you're worried about the numbers. At Lot, I was able to just be free and just DJ, so it was fun there.
Yeah, but I mean, we're not gonna get ahead of ourselves. But you were also involved with Lot in management, right?
Yes. So at the beginning,
Oh, okay.
At the
We're talking about
the
okay.
beginning, I started out. I was at Cherry Room for a year before I bought into Minaj, and I was
Yeah.
at Lot a year before I purchased shares in Lot. So I'd seen it before. So both clubs I was involved in as a year before, just to kind of see the business and kind of understand what's going on and understand the people there. And then the
Mm,
opportunities came up to get to invest, and you know everything was great after that.
okay. I see a lot of questions here. I've starred them. I've favorited them, so I'm going to get back to them eventually. We just don't want
Hmm.
to get ahead of ourselves. Um, and for everyone international that's tuned in, we're talking about Toronto nightclubs, Toronto, Canada.
Yes.
Okay, Marky D's from Toronto, Canada. So let's take it back though. I asked you about your parents and everything. I asked you
Yeah.
about how'd you get into DJing. You were making some money, but was this were you starting to think to yourself that maybe this was your bread and butter, or what aspirations did you have for a career?
So I went to school for radio and TV. So I did want to do this eventually, but not as a nightclub DJ. So I kind of thought it was cool to be on the radio. I recognized when I got out of school, I went to Seneca for radio and TV. That
Me
I'd
too.
really have to like move. I'd really have to like move to Timbuktu to really get my feet wet. Right? I'd be going on a radio station
Yeah.
somewhere in the middle of nowhere. Kind of like an evening shift, just kind of to talk it up and stuff. And I was like, you know what? That's cool. I kind of had the experience with it. But what it actually taught me was more the public speaking ability.
Ah.
That's one of the main things I pulled out of the whole radio stuff. And what it actually did was it actually it helped because I did an internship at 103 and I was working there at the same time, so it helped with the DJ aspect of it all. So I ended up doing that. The club stuff was fine. I did it for a couple years. Then I had the opportunity to invest. So when I got interested in investing, I kind of all said this could be serious, and I basically invested in one club, Minaj, got out, invested in Lot, and while I was at Lot, I had to make not a hard decision, but I had to realize that this is going to not last forever. So that's when I decided to start up Xtendamix. That was, when I was about 11, 12 years ago when I was at Lot. I saw the opportunity and I was like, this is, clubs are great, but it's not going to last forever. So I'm going to need a backup business. And that's when I eventually launched what essentially is my business, is my full-time career, which
Hmm.
has allowed me to step back from DJing. But I can never take my foot off the pedal because I need to be involved. I need to be on the pulse. Without me DJing, I'm not going to understand the music. So it still keeps me relevant. When I play a song, I'm like, oh, I got to fix that. And I can go in and make that edit fix. But once I stop actually DJing, I feel like we would slide with Xtendamix because I don't feel that we would be as cutting edge.
And maybe
So
that's one of the reasons also why you're still doing the whole part-time DJ thing, right?
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I still love it, right? I mean, there's nothing
Yeah.
better than playing a track and having people really enjoy it, or playing to an educated crew like we do on your channel and on my channel, that they just know it and they appreciate it and they even know the song as it's coming in. Like there's no
Mm.
better feeling than to connect like that with the audience, right?
Mm. So you were a kid getting into radio. You really
Hmm.
weren't sure, but I guess all that evolved into being an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah. My mom had always said, try to develop a business that you can sell. And I said, well, with
Yeah.
DJing, I'm not going to develop a DJ company that I can sell. Um, and unfortunately, as a DJ, it's me that I'm selling. So there's only one of me. And as long as my time is used up somewhere, it can't be used somewhere else. So I was pushed in that direction. I was always educated as a kid to do that.
Yeah.
Um, and always had the ability to do that. So when Xtendamix came up, the opportunity, I obviously, I mean, I created the concept. At the time, there was no music videos that were mixable, and there was no downloading. Everything was still iTunes. It had DRM watermarks on it. You couldn't do it all. The labels were totally against editing, and little by little, I was able to, over time, it took almost a year to get all the permissions and everything good to go for them to see the concept. So it worked out really well.
Wow. Um, Speaking of Xtendamix, sorry, let me just go back to us here. Speaking of Xtendamix, when did you start having this idea? I mean, how did you even come up with the idea of like a music DJ service kind of thing?
Okay, so Serato was out. That was
Yeah.
the DJ software, and I saw some pilots that they had options in it for video. We just were not at that level, and I was always a music junkie and music video junkie, and I was like, it would be cool if I could have all of these CDs in a digital format in one place. So if I wanted to play something, I wouldn't be trying to find all these different CDs everywhere. So there was that original concept, and then I was like, but you can't just be playing radio edits. You're going to need something with a break on the way in. So I was working with Scott Fox when I was still working at Z, and Scott had this gig at BPM TV. So I ended up, he said to me, there's a show that has to be programmed. We're actually going to call it like Friday night, Saturday night dance party. Do you know anybody that could do that show? And he's like, I have someone in mind. Now, BPM TV was only about 15 minutes from where I lived, so it was nice and convenient. So I went over and took them a bunch of CDs and said, you guys should add this stuff. You should have it on. So they said, well, we can't pay you for the show, but we'll put your name in the TV guide. I was like, that's fine. But can I get a copy of all these music videos that you have? And they said, yeah, sure.
Seriously?
So,
wow.
Yeah. So
That's
I was
very
able
generous.
to literally go in there myself on the weekend for a couple weekends and literally just rip tapes front to end and just digitize everything. So I dumped everything to a hard drive, and when I came home, I cut it all up. So I was literally started with 6,000 or 7,000 like no tags, high quality dance music videos.
How long did that take you?
It took some time. It took some time. So I mean, I put in the time. I had literally at that point, I wanted to start Xtendamix with a friend of mine, Kevin K.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be my initial partner, and he didn't have the time for it. And he is very by the book, and I was a little bit more, freedom. So
risk taker.
Sorry. Yeah.
You were a risk taker, unlike Kevin.
Yeah. So on top of all that, I was also able to. I bought a lot of DVDs. Anything and everything that I could get my hands on from Amazon or whatever I could get my hands on, and then was also able to work with another company, which is ERG. And at the very beginning, I basically talked to them and said, "Listen, I have these music videos from BPM. Are you willing to make some trades?" And then we did. And then after Xtendamix started, I said, in full disclosure, before you hear from anybody else, I'm going to be starting a music video company. If you guys want to part ways now, let's do it while it's on the up and up, as opposed to you finding out later. And they said, you know what, I anticipate it's going to be a conflict. And that was the end of that relationship. But it stayed as a good relationship, but that was the end of that partnership. So I got my feet wet. I started out with all that kind of stuff. When I first started doing the music video edits, first label I got on board was Ultra. And of course, this is, 2009, 2010, when EDM was at its height, and Ultra was the best label at the time. So started basically with all that kind of stuff, and then added EMI, Universal, and then as time went on, we added Sony and Warner and got everything on board.
How long were you at BPM?
I was there about 4 or 5 years.
4 or 5
So
years.
to answer that question that Driss K has,
Yeah.
BPM TV got them from the record labels directly.
Huh.
Basically, there's kind of this saying in the industry that's basically like, we're not really so concerned about where you get it from. We just pay us for the use. So they went in and they basically collected everything they could from Warner, from Universal, from Sony. But BPM really only cataloged the dance stuff. They were not interested in anything else. They were a dance station, so they only kept the dance stuff. So eventually, as time went on, I actually made this deal with Warner. I actually went in and digitized Warner's entire catalog for myself, and they never asked for a copy. So I went in and got 10 tapes a week, tape 1 to 10, 10 to 11 to 20. Week after week, every Monday, I would go in and just collect everything, and I would literally just digitize every single tape that they had front to end. And I just built this massive catalog. We still have 30,000 videos that are not even up on the site yet that I've just recorded, and when they get requested or when I have time, I'll get to putting them up. So just wanted to collect as much as I could, and then go from there.
How challenging? I mean, I could only imagine like how challenging it would be to even make deals with all these record labels, to get their music videos and to get paid for them, basically. How did that
So
go? Like, was it
the
was yeah?
original concept, did not exist at the
Okay.
time. There was DRM on everything. If you remember that, if you put a CD in your car player, it would not work. Um,
Yeah.
there was copyright protection on everything. That was their way of combating copyright. So iTunes even had DRM on stuff. So when I originally went to them, they're like, you have to put DRM on everything. DRM is digital rights management. You basically allowed, like when you put a DVD in the thing, you can't copy it. You can only like play it in a DVD player. It won't work if you put it in a CD-ROM. So um, they had this big thing, DRM and everything. So the files wouldn't load in Serato. So like with this whole DRM problem, it wouldn't work. And my timing kind of came into effect because they got rid of it on October 30th, 2010. And I signed my deal on October 31st, 2010. So the deal was in place, and I said as soon as they scrap DRM, we'll finalize the deal. So Universal and EMI and Ultra came on at the beginning, and then after that was done, then Sony and Warner joined on. But it was difficult at the time because essentially, in order to edit a video, you need the director's permission. So the label said, clearly, you're not going to be able to go to Rihanna's camp and Beyonce's camp every time you want to touch something. So we'll just give you the permission to do it as long as we're getting paid. We'll kind of just let it slide as long as everybody's getting paid. So that's kind of how the whole thing went down. I mean, I was a DJ. I knew we need extended versions. I knew the music from Z103. Big part of knowing all the music that's here.
Mm.
Being able to get all that dance stuff, had the passion for it all. Being able to get all that dance stuff so that you can just mix in and out. And that was pretty much the bulk of how Xtendamix started. When I started Xtendamix, it was clean extendeds for everything. And then urban people were like, well, we want dirty, we want singles, and now it's just, offer as many versions as possible.
I think what's most important is that you had a vision and you were visionary in a sense, and you were the first service that. Okay, let's get this straight. You were the first music video service for DJs. Is that true? Is that a fact?
Not the first.
Okay.
But the first, so there was a company in the States called Smash Vids.
Okay.
Kind of did this thing as well, but they didn't have deals with record companies. So what they were doing was they essentially started out mainly doing new stuff and mainly doing promo. Whereas when I came in, I was like, let's just go back and do the entire catalog from the beginning, take all the hits. Let's just work backwards, right? Let's go out and get, they were promoting like a new 50 Cent track, and I was like, let's just go out and get Be Faithful and DMX and let's go
Everything.
out and get all the bombs. Like Montel Jordan, this is how we do it. Like, let's just go out and get everything and anything that everybody ever liked. So I had a bit of a different vision, but because I had the record label support, I was able to basically take the entire catalog, and they were like, you can do whatever you want as long as we get paid for it. It's totally cool, right?
So you were gonna do this with a partner, Kevin K, your buddy. He cashed in his chips. He threw in the towel, so to speak. And now, I mean, it's a successful company, right? He must definitely not. I mean, he must be regretting himself now, right? Obviously.
Well,
but
yes and no. It did require pretty much 6 months of blood, sweat, and tears, and
yeah,
sweat equity, right? No money coming in, and Kevin and I had a little bit of a different vision. I was kind of pulling him along. His heart wasn't really in it, and he just didn't really have the same vision in terms of being able to put in 6 months of basically free work, right? I was working at Lot 332 and a partner, so I already had a base and a foundation of income and other stuff coming on. So was able to keep it going and, just kind of put my head down and did that. And then within the first year, my brother became involved. I said, I need help. Like, I can't just do it with me.
yeah.
So he purchased some shares in the first year. And then it was pretty much just him and I doing the editing. There wasn't that much work to do. And then we brought in Buddha, probably within the first year or two after that, as an additional editor on a much smaller scale. Then my brother took a bigger role, bought into a larger company. Now we're 50-50, and Sean and I do the edits, and Paul takes
Yeah.
care of the admin stuff. So
It's
just the three of
crazy.
us, we run a pretty tight ship, but it's good.
Yeah, no, I was looking at I was actually doing a little bit of research last night, and I was looking at Xtendamix and how there's I don't know if this promo is still available, but if you have if you have Serato,
Yep.
if you're a Serato user, you get like it was like 40 free videos or something like that,
Yeah.
30 or something. Same with another service, but the fact that you have these deals with all these big companies shows the magnitude of
Yeah.
this company that you created.
So what the deal is with Serato is you
Yeah,
punch your Serato code into our system. It
yeah,
generates a separate code, um, and then you punch that code into. You punch your Serato code into their site. It generates a code that's then used on our site.
yeah.
So we give them a list of codes that work on our site, and then you basically punch it in and on their system, and then it works on our system, and it gives you 40 because the incentive is it's a win-win for both. So if you end up buying Serato, we'll give you a couple of videos to play with and see if you can get your feet wet.
Wow. So, I mean, what I take from this, having known you for a couple of years and all that, um, this being such a big thing, because I mean, to me, it's a big thing. This Xtendamix situation, but it's still kind of like a small scale operation from what you tell me. You have Sean, your friend, working on the videos. There's you, and then you guys just pump out the music videos every day, right?
Yeah, there'll be a point where we need to add another editor, but for
Yeah,
now, Sean and I are pretty tight at just keeping everything kind of in house.
yeah,
We both work great hours, but we also have a very good balance. We take lots of breaks, um, and just because I don't want to sit in front of the computer for 8 hours, right? So a little here, I go out and play hockey, I go for a walk, I go to the gym, just short little breaks to get you away from the computer. But I love it. So, I mean, I'll finish up some edits, after the interview tonight. I get up in the morning, first thing I do, you know, I do a bunch of edits. I really enjoy it. I enjoy the final product. I enjoy the process. So, it'll get there. When the requests get out of control that we can't handle it, we'll add another editor. But for now, Sean and I have a very good balance, and we're still able to put out our 30 plus or 40 videos a day, and just really enjoy doing it.
Fun fact: Xtendamix actually takes care of 90% of the requests. So
Yes.
if you're a DJ and you play music videos and you want you want a song that there's no video for or whatever, they'll do it for you. So Xtendamix, it's pretty crazy.
We make lyric videos, and I
Yeah,
attribute a lot of the lyric videos and a lot of that, believe it or not, to Twitch, because being on Twitch, you get the guys who um, want to hear stuff like Remedy Project sounds good and all this other stuff, and there's no videos for a lot of this stuff, a lot of the Italo Euro. So
yeah,
we'll make a lyric video for it, and obviously I have the passion for that kind of stuff, for freestyle and Euros. So we make lyric videos for that, so we
yeah.
can play them and you know just do our best to digitize as much content as possible and put up as much good stuff as possible.
Now tell us the story behind this, right here. Tell us.
You already know the story. You were watching it.
I know, but the people don't know the story behind this because see, Marky D's company is called Xtendamix, and we have a CD here from 1992, a Canadian CD compilation that says Xtendamix at the top. And before you brought this up, I was always wondering. I was going to ask you why. I mean, did you get the name? Did you buy the name? Did you steal the name? What happened here? So
I always liked the name, and I
yeah,
didn't want to use something that revolved around video only in case we decided to do an audio portion, and I didn't want to um, specifically cater it to like one genre. So I just figured, Xtendamix, extend the mix, but more of like a cool street type way of doing it. I like that term. Kevin is the one I think that actually mentioned the name. So Xtendamix Dance Mix 92 was the one obviously that you're showing there on the screen. In 93 was the last year that they used it. So they used Xtendamix Dance Mix 93. That's the one with the red cover. In 94, they switched to Much Dance. Ironically, I actually mixed Much Dance 80s, Much Dance 2003, 10, 12, 14, 16, and 18. And they actually say inside those CDs, mixed live at the Xtendamix studios. Ironically. So the name, they switched off from Much Dance around 94. And they went to Much Dance. They switched away from the Xtendamix name. So 15 years after that is when the trademark would end, which was 2008, which is when I started. So I did a trademark search to see if I could use the name, and it was available. So I ended up adapting the name, dropped the dash. A lot of people at the time called it Xtendamix with an E. It still gets called that today. Just wanted to go with something cool. Wanted to pick a letter that kind of, even if you didn't have the whole name, you would just, the letter X represented it. Kind of just went with that, and just basically went and used that name. Once the trademark was available and nobody was no longer using it, trademarked the name and went with that one.
So you actively seeked out this name, Xtendamix. You liked it. You liked it that much.
I was coming up with a bunch of different names, and I was like, let me give this one a shot, and narrowed it down to about 5 or 6 different things I was going to use, and that's the one I ended up going with.
Do you want to share like an alternate universe type of thing? Like, let's say that wasn't available. What would you have named it?
You know what? I don't even remember.
Really?
Yeah, I don't remember what the other names were, because that one jumped off the page, and that's the one that we went and seeked right from the beginning. Like, that one was hands down, like, we're going to go with this one. But like I said, I didn't want to have something that was relatable to videos only, in case I wanted to do audio. I kind of wanted to have something that was generic, that didn't say music in it. So I just kind of wanted to have a name that was kind of cool, that was kind of, like I said, branded by one letter, and just went with it. So lucked out, I guess, on that part.
So for those of you wondering, this Xtendamix, this actual Xtendamix, is it going to show? No, it's not going to show. This actual Xtendamix name came from a Canadian CD compilation here, and Marky D actually ended up mixing for the same company that did this compilation many years later. So I'm wondering if Much Music executives, if you told them about this before that, or if they know about it, or, I mean, was there any rift or anything, or they didn't care because it was a long time before?
No, I don't think they cared.
Yeah.
But when I was also working on BPM, we piloted a show, and it lasted for 3 seasons, and it was called Xtendamix, and we took about 7 or 8 music videos. We mixed them into one half-an-hour set, and the show was called Xtendamix. And ironically, at BPM, Master T called looking for a show. Master T, for those who don't know, was the actual one who had the Xtendamix brand on Much Music. But he actually called BPM looking for a show. But yeah, we actually ran that as a TV show on BPM. And basically it was just a mix, front to end, song after song, about 20 or 30 minutes, I think, 30 minutes. And it was, like I said, 7 or 8 songs, and just beat match like you would play at a club.
There we go. That's the one. That's the one you were talking about in '93.
Yeah,
right there.
93 was the last year that they used that, and then in 94, they switched over to Much Dance. Yeah.
Okay.
For those who were watching my stream, you got to see me come up with that name. I think it was a couple weeks ago. I unveiled the secret behind everything.
Yeah. It's like I was always wondering about that, and honestly, a very very simple question. I probably should have asked this at the beginning, because I know what your real name is. Okay, there's no D anywhere there. Where did Marky D come from?
Middle name.
Your middle name.
So my middle name is David. So Marky H did not have the ring to it. So just kind of went with that. I remember when I was kind of trying to pick a DJ name, it was like, I don't want to go with Marky Mark, like, you know what I mean, type thing, because it's obviously Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. So I was kind of just picking a name, and it just, like I said, it was just like, pick something. And it was like, I just came up with, kind of middle initial, wrote a bunch of names out, and that was the one I went with. And there was another Marky D in Toronto at the time, but I actually trademarked the name as well. So I basically told him you can't use it, and he wasn't very
Wow.
good to switch his name. But there's a Marky D that's out now. He's a rapper, and then there's Prince Marky D, was one of the members of the Fat Boys who just died, I think, a couple of years ago. So the name has been around, obviously, for other purposes, for other things, but it's not not synonymous. And there was a Marky C as well, back when I was DJing all ages and stuff. So everybody just kind of picks like the alphabet soup, right? First name and whatever, right? Stevie P, Danny D, Alex K, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
Right? So.
You cross the I's, you dot the I's and cross the T's when it comes down to legal stuff.
You could be Maurizio C, right?
Covers his butt. I don't know, man. I don't know. We have a question here from Tina. In my opinion, a DJ tells a story, blending the songs together. What is some advice you would give to a person who's just starting out DJing?
Well, first of all, you have to love it, right? This goes for streaming, but it also goes for DJing. If you don't come across as you're loving it, you're not going to. It's not going to look. You're not going to look authentic. So I love it, but I also treat it not so much now, but earlier, almost like an art. As if I would screw up a mix, I'd be upset, and I mean, really, most of the time when you screw up, most people don't notice unless the song stops or something like that. But I wanted to be almost a perfectionist. So as much as I loved it, I would also treat it very seriously. Didn't want anybody around, wanted to do everything perfectly. And then eventually on that, I just kind of what, let's just keep the music going, and let's just have some fun with it. And then I started having more people, around, just having some fun with it, having conversations, having a couple drinks, and just making sure the music didn't stop, but stop worrying about the exact technicality and art of it. So if you don't love it, you're not going to excel at it. Just have fun with it, and the more you know the music, the better you'll be. So people say that, I'm the king of Euro and stuff. I just know the music, every break, every song, every time there's an extra bar, every bridge, because I played it, since for the last 28, 30 years, basically. I've been playing this music, so I just know it inside and out. When you go back and do something like an 80s night or something, you don't remember that they added extra bars here and there, so it's not as perfect. But for Euro, I can pick any two songs. I know exactly where to blend, and I can basically just throw two songs on and just go with it, right?
Yeah. You were mentioning making mistakes and all that. You started off a long time ago, but I'm sure along the way there were a lot of hiccups and bumps on the road. So what is your most significant, and what's something that you still remember to this day and you're like, damn, I effed up. I effed up that time. So if you have a story like that, tell us.
So, I mean, every time you get hired, you're going to get fired, right?
Yeah.
Literally for every time you get hired. So everything is great. But you're always going to have times where, it doesn't go your way. So there isn't any real mistakes I think I've made. It's just as one door closes, the next one opens. So there's different opportunities. There's gigs I wish I played at a little bit longer. But no real significant ones. Like, in all honesty, like if there's a story to tell, I'll tell it. If I come up with something over the next little bit,
you never accidentally press Q or press stop or something, or
oh yeah. I screw up. I screw up DJing all the time. But I'm saying in terms of like type of career or anything like that. Yeah.
Oh, that's like on a mass scale. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no. I've always had the fear of being late. I don't like being late. Stuff's supposed to start on time.
I should have that fear.
Um, no, sorry, I do have that fear. I don't like being late.
Okay.
But I just, I mean, there's times there was a time I was doing the live to air from my apartment, and I was living downtown, and I was like, I got nothing to do. It's like 8 o'clock. I'm like, I'll just go to the bar early. Well, didn't realize that the Gardner was closed.
Ah.
Left at 8, thinking I would get to the club at 8:45. Got there at about 9:50. So had I not left early, I literally would have been an hour late for a live to air. So I guess just something inside of me just said, you know what, you got nothing to do, just go early. So I was like, great. One of the things that DJing does do, though, so I have a found love for DJing, but in terms of my DJing career, I think it's over. I don't have anticipate. I know you have mentioned a few times if we do a big gig or something, would I come out on a one-off? Yes. Would I ever commit to a weekly when everything goes back? Absolutely not. I'll do a couple weddings here and there because they're one-off events. I do some hockey banquets for my league, which is basically half my hockey team. I'll do those types of things. The odd event here and there, yes. But the problem with DJing, and I have found this out with a lot of people I know who are DJs, is that you miss out on a lot of things. So imagine that you are out with a group of friends on a Saturday night, and everybody just has some fun, has some drinks, maybe crashes at a buddy's place. Problem is, as a DJ, at 9 o'clock you've got to leave, and all DJs will relate to this. The problem with the wedding is you can go, but you always got to leave. The problem with the dinner is you want to go somewhere, you got to leave. So you've always got this time that you're always looking at. So I have found out that a lot of that stuff earlier in my life, and I don't regret it, but I have missed out on a lot of potential trips, a lot of other things because I wanted to be present for DJing. So now my time is more valuable, and I don't think I would ever go back to those type of events where I'm looking at my watch at 9 o'clock and I got to leave and I got to go somewhere. So that's the one thing. And I know a lot of my friends and a lot of DJs have also gone through a divorce because imagine you're a wife and your husband's gone 3 days a week, right? I'm just painting a reality picture. And he's gone Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So you're now going to bed alone 3 nights in a row. On top of that, girls' night, or couples' night, and the boyfriend's got to go. So it's like everybody's out together, and then 9:30 rolls around, and it's like I got to split. So I find that it does take a toll on relationships, and it's kind of a decision you make. So that's a bit of the real talk from what I've seen about it. Like I said, I think I had the best time ever. I was able to travel to a bunch of different countries. I was able to make a great living off it for years. But now that I've been able to challenge my energy, the 6 or 7 hours that I would spend on the computer putting it into Xtendamix pays off in spades for life, as opposed to just a paycheck at the end of the night.
Of course. I mean, I think it would be for anyone, right? I mean, it's not like you don't do it still. I mean, you're willing to do it on an occasional basis, but ladies and gentlemen,
Impressions has the right idea.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first. Marky D is retired.
I'm not retired. There's one thing about going to a gig, and there's one thing about having travel time. There's another thing about literally going downstairs and flipping the lights on, playing until you're ready to play, flipping the lights off, and just going back to your life.
There's nothing like it.
There's a different element of that.
Because you're at home too.
Yes, and not being told what to do, what to play, having a bunch of silly people doing this, doing that, pointing in different directions, never having to worry about is it busy, what's the weather like? Because if it's a snowstorm, you're still expected to go, and no one's going to be there, and that type of thing, right? So it's just, like I said, I had a blast with it. I would reserve a handful of gigs on a regular, but nothing on a regular basis. I would reserve a handful of gigs for I would be willing to go out and do that.
A Euro Nation party.
Euro Nation party, we will we'll talk about. But, and the other thing too with the whole COVID thing, you don't know how people are going to go back, right?
Yeah.
So
we don't know yet.
my impression is the 16, 17, 18-year-olds who never had a chance to experience that will probably be all gung-ho and go for it. People my age, I think, would never go back to a bar. And not that I would go to a bar anymore anyway. But, you know, I
Yeah.
have gone when I was 40 once or twice for a birthday party here and there, right? So
We got Samus over here who's actually saying that even though streaming is good from home, there's nothing that can replicate the crowd. Do you miss
yeah.
that physical
Um,
experience?
Yes, Minaj, Lot 332. I could literally cut the music for any Euro song, and they would sing it.
Yeah.
Nashville North is similar, the same thing. I mean, I have those videos in my phone. I've taken videos of them, of literally being able to cut every other word out of a Drake song, and they've been all about it. You know, and as you've heard from Club Minaj, I mean, we had the club mic there, and you would cut the music from Mallorca, and they would sing all of it, right? So.
Yeah.
Yes, you do miss that, but like I said, I think I've passed the torch to some of the younger guys. So if Samus still has the ability to do it, I mean, he's still playing for a crowd when he's on Twitch anyway. You can see those guys going nuts back there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you cannot replicate it. There's a great feeling of having the crowd in the palm of your hand and literally them reacting to everything you play. And there's nothing better that beats the satisfaction of 1,000 people agreeing with you when you play a great song.
I remember.
And cheering and that kind of stuff, right? So.
No, for sure. I remember the Xtendamix get together last summer. I was actually asking you about this, and you were telling me kind of something along the same lines, but it had more to do with your health, meaning that you were kind of done with the days of getting home at like 5 a.m, you know, and you know, all-nighters and all that. It would screw up your schedule. Right, like I mean that's also a factor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now I value sleep.
Yeah.
A lot more than I ever did. Putting yourself on a circadian rhythm, working out, eating properly, doing a lot more stuff. Chances are, when you're out that late, sometimes you want to go for a bite, and you're just adding food to yourself that you don't need. And staying up at all hours of the night, it does mess up your clock and everything else, but. Now I'm at a point where I'm good, I'm happy, and yeah, it's just, I mean, everybody in the chat, laughs when I'm like, hey, 10:30, I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
And literally, like I do, but I'm up at 6:30, I'm up at the crack of dawn, and I'm raring to go. Good night's sleep, and
gosh,
ready to go.
That's
that's by choice, right? So
yeah.
You go to bed early, you're going to get up early. But yes, it's nice. Yeah. It's nice to just be able to. I remember some mornings coming home from my gig, having breakfast with my dad. He would go to work and I would go to bed. And those days are long gone. So, yeah, it's not. I never had any health problems that related to it, but it's just a lot more of having fun with, just a matter of like, as you get older, you just value what's important to you. And now, my girlfriend, my sleep, putting myself back into like a proper rhythm, and only doing the things that I want to do, and not at someone else's beck and call, is a lot more satisfying, gratifying than anything else.
100%.
Yeah.
I do have this image right here, and you did touch on it a few minutes ago, but what comes to mind when you see this? When you see this right here, what comes to mind? How did that get started?
So I was the marketing behind Minaj for the most part of it. So Minaj, the name Minaj, Menage a Trois, 3 elements was the club, the patio, and the restaurant, right? The whole sell of it was come for dinner and stay for, dancing, right? Minaj had a fantastic rooftop patio, which was covered in the winter, but just gave you kind of that outdoor vibe. And that was always our sell, come for dinner and, stay for dancing. And a lot of people did. And the restaurant on its own would lose money without the nightclub, but one fed the other. So you'd have, groups, reservations always coming in, and they would book like, a group of 8. There was 2 seatings. There was a 7 and a 9:30, and the 7 would finish about 9:30, and they'd head upstairs, and some would leave, and then when the 9:30s definitely finished, they would all head upstairs. So it worked out good. We kind of had 2 sittings, and the restaurant definitely filled and fueled the club.
So how did that get started? I mean, obviously the nightclub reached out to the radio station Z103 that you were working at, and then
So
what?
that is actually a funny story. So
Yeah.
I was working at Z103 at the time, and Paul Evanoff, the owner, said, "Let's go for a walk." He goes, "There's this club down on King Street called Cherry Room, and they want to sign for live care. They're going to commit for 10 weeks. It's $2,000 a week. Um, I'm not really optimistic that it's going to work, but we're willing to give it a shot. I would give it to Danny, but he's really busy, and I think this is only going to last for a couple weeks. So if you're cool, just go down, meet with them, and then, kind of do your thing, and we'll go with it, right?" So I went down and met with them, and I was like, "What are you looking for?" And they're like, "We want to be more of a lounge. We kind of want to just looking for a much older crowd." So, they came to me and they said, "Okay, we'll do this." So I ended up originally starting with Tony, and I remember 10 minutes before the show started. So they wanted us to play like Kylie Minogue, Can't Get You Out of My Head, Black Legend, just stuff that like Chum FM people would like. So 10 minutes before the show starts, I'm sitting in the bistro with myself, Paul Evanoff, who's the owner of the station, Ben, and Tony. And I was like, "So what are we going to do?" And Tony's like, "Well, why don't we just start with some Euro?" So I was like, "Okay, well, Love is Paradise has got the longest intro out of any song that I've ever heard, start to finish. I think it's about 1:50 before the song starts." I was like, "So let's just do that. We'll do 5 or 6 Euro off the top. We'll break it down. We'll do some classic house. We'll kind of go with it. We'll kind of play like, Kylie Minogue and Black Legend and just kind of have some fun with it." Now, I grew up listening to Euro. I wanted to do a Euro night my entire life. And it ended pretty much, slowed down at the late 90s. Well, Minaj started up in like 2002. So, I mean, it was 5 years past that point. So at that point, we actually decided that we were actually going to start with that. And believe it or not, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, but we ended up starting with that. Worked out great, 40, 50 people the first night. That was mostly invites and stuff like that. We ran it for about 6 or 7 weeks at like maybe 150, 200 people. After that, we had a corporate party and it started to take off. Like started to go up 100, 200, 300. We were getting into the summer part at that point. I think we started it in like May. So we were getting into the summer. By the 8th or 9th week, we were up to like 400 or 500, and pretty much all the crowd wanted was Euro. It went till about Halloween, and then they closed the doors. I guess they didn't pay the rent. They got locked out. That was the end of that. So what ended up happening is then I got together with this other guy, Frank, who I knew from the docks, and Miguel, and we ended up talking over the winter. And we basically said, we should do this. Like, we know we have a Wednesday. I'm sure we can get a Friday, Saturday. Let's go in and let's do this again. So at that point, the Life Dare went to Tonic, and they were doing like a 911 Wednesday. We reopened our Minaj back, I think it was in April. And we just said, we're going to go back. We're going to launch way back Wednesdays. Everything else kind of went well with it. And just went out. And there were 2 Wednesday nights, and that's kind of how it went. And we just kept going. But this time when we opened it up, it wasn't called Cherry Room. It was called Minaj. And I was involved this time as a partner. We knew we had the Wednesday. Obviously, like I said, we had Friday, Saturday. We marketed the restaurant. We fixed up the patio. We did the renovations. So we ended up starting it over again. And when it launched, it kind of went back. It started to get busy again. Tonic ended up dropping Life Dare. When we picked up the Life Dare, we coined the name Way Back Wednesdays. And that's also the exact same time that Z103 called their show Way Back Wednesdays. So they went Way Back Wednesdays, and they had a 10 a.m. mix on the Wednesday in the morning, and we had the 10 p.m. Live Dare. We started it. We launched Way Back Wednesdays together as a multi-brand on that same day. And what was supposed to run for 10 weeks ended up running for 13 years.
You had no idea that it would last that long.
No idea.
Yeah.
And I was there for the first 3.
Yeah.
Stevie P came in, Danny was there, DJ Juice, Little Funky, DJ Ziad, which is DJ Z, I think. There were a whole bunch of DJs who came in after me and kept it going.
These owners you were mentioning at the beginning that these owners they wanted a Kylie Minogue, they wanted some Chum FM type of stuff. They weren't complaining at that
Nope.
point, right?
That was their vision. We brought them a different
Yeah.
vision, and they were like,
I like this vision.
"Show me the money," right?
Show me the money. Wow.
They were totally cool with it. They're like, "We don't care what you play, just go ahead with it." So eventually,
Yeah.
after that, I ended up leaving, going to Lot 332. We pitched the same idea, and Lot had a busy Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We went in there and said we wanted to do waybacks on a Wednesday. They kind of rolled their eyes, and they're like, "Oh my god, you
Yeah.
think you're going to be able to play Geno music on a Wednesday?" We basically overpowered their Thursday, and their Thursday ended up dying within about 4 to 5 months. But they said, "I've never seen people that excited, sing the words to every single song. I've never seen people cheer and party." And I think there's some videos on YouTube about it. I've never seen people go that hard and love the music that much than what they saw that first night. With Stevie B and everything there. Like, I mean, Lot was a cool club. Yeah, we had Joey there. Joey actually didn't show up that night though.
He didn't.
So Joey is very good friends with Ben, who was a partner at Minaj. And once Ben got word of that, Joey didn't actually come that night.
That's unfortunate. We have Impressions DJ asking, Minaj, did Fridays and Saturdays build off the way back Wednesday, or was it vice versa?
Well, what we did is Tony was smart. So Tony would say, "We know you can't come down on a Wednesday, so why don't you, if you can't come down on a Wednesday, we're on the radio on Wednesday, but what we would do on Wednesday is we would push the weekend. We'd say, obviously, not everybody can make it out on a Wednesday. Why don't you guys come down on a Friday or Saturday? This is what we got." So Fridays, my friend Kevin, who was the DJ, and Saturdays, I was the DJ. Saturdays was like a lot more, was a lot older, right? So we'd play some 80s and stuff like that. So we didn't really play a lot of Euro on the Saturday, but we used the Wednesday to push the weekend, because Wednesdays in the summertime, I mean, if you got there after 10:30, you couldn't get in, right? So we were full. So we would say, just if you like this music, come come on the weekend. I mean, there was even thought, and they mentioned, like, why don't we just do a Thursday and do the same thing? And they're like, because Thursday is the new Wednesday. So everybody just came on Wednesday, and everybody just wanted to come Wednesday. And Wednesday became a hotspot in the city. So it ended up just working out like that. And we couldn't do it. We couldn't replicate it on any other night. So we used that to push the weekends.
Okay. Just for everybody who asked questions at the beginning, we're going to get to them at the end as well. Well, I have a lot of starred questions here. We're going to get to them at the end. You touched on this a little bit on Lot 332. You eventually shifted over to Lot 332. Tell us the story behind that.
So I was involved at Minaj as a partner.
Yeah.
A friend of mine, don't want to get into too much of the details, ended up giving me a heads up that maybe the other two owners weren't fully straight with me. So I did gather a little bit of proof in case I needed to use it as ammo, but essentially didn't want to go down that road. So I basically went to them and said, "Guys, look, I want to buy a house. Any way that you guys can buy me out, and I'll stay on as a DJ, but kind of, is there any way we can just make this work, right? Like, nothing will change on your end." I knew there was some sneakiness going on, but I just pitched that. And they ended up coming up with an offer. It wasn't ideal. Ben is actually the one who ended up basically taking over my shares. He saw a good opportunity. Once I got that money, I had a vengeance. And my initial marketing was Marky D, or 333 minus Marky D equals 332. That was my original marketing. And literally those numbers just ended up playing out. I went to Neil, a friend of mine, Mass Appeal, and I said, "Just give me a club owner that's not going to screw me around." And he's like, "I know the exact guy," which was Phil at Lot 332. He set up a meeting. I went over there. We discussed the idea. I walked right into Z103. I voiced my entire commercial, my entire CD, and we booked Stevie B for his birthday for the grand opening and I was like, we are going to go hard. We are going to go 7 or 8 concerts right off the bat, and we did, because we said we know that they have a capacity of 300, and if they're going to get 700, there's nowhere else for them to go. So why not just replicate it and do it down the street? And we did. And this is actually one of the first times I'm telling the all story about the whole thing. But yeah, we ended up just going book Stevie B right off the top, Little Susie, Raquel, Roxy, Capital Sound, Leia, Lost in Vegas, Stevie B again, and then just continue with concerts. Concerts were almost a guarantee way to get people to come, right? Later on, Cascada, Bass Hunter, and just went all out, right? And just decided to go book concerts right off the bat. And it worked. I mean, if Minaj could only fit, 300 people, and there were 700 there, the other 400 got to go somewhere. We were only like a couple of streets up, right? So we ended up surviving off that. But then they also, at some point, I'm not sure what the deal was because I wasn't involved, but they also at some point lost their license upstairs, and they had to kind of do their party in the bistro. The restaurant was not the ideal part. People wanted to be in the club. The restaurant didn't have the patio, anything else. So for whatever reason, I guess timing worked out. They ended up shooting themselves in the foot, and it just built on that. A lot of people followed me over. A lot of people went back and forth, and just worked out.
I remember when you actually released. I mean, there was a promo CD that you did at some point. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you had to sign up somewhere, and then the CD was mailed out, or you mailed like a ton of CDs out. I think I still have that CD somewhere, but yeah, you had a custom mix of yours on there, and so yeah, just it was a promo.
I ended up using the Minaj mailing list, and was able to go back, and look at what date everybody was swiped in, so I knew who came on a Wednesday. And then just basically mailed them all out a CD with a couple free passes. So, I mean, the last thing you want to do is back someone into a corner and get vindictive or revengeful. But I mean, I knew exactly what I was doing. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into Minaj more than anybody else. So when I had the opportunity, I was like, "We've got one shot at this," and luckily it worked out.
That's awesome. Did the owners or anybody from the Minaj reach out to you? Was there like extreme animosity over this, or
yeah.
There was?
Yeah, but I ran into Frank about 7 or 8 years later at Jukebox and shook hands, water under the bridge, and that's it, right? Same with Yigal, who was my other partner. I ran into him, years later, and and then I ended up buying Nashville North in Barrie. We started it and ended up selling it to Yigal's brother, Moise. So, I mean, time heals all wounds, right? So we ended up just it's water under the bridge, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, you hear all about the club industry and how it could have its thorns here and there, right? But you see a guy like this guy owning clubs. I mean, it would be a pleasure to always deal with somebody like yourself, right? In the club industry.
Yeah, at Minaj, I was a significant partner. I was 20%. Yeah. I had signing authority. I was, on paperwork, everything else. When I walked into Lot and Nash, I mean, I went in at a much smaller fraction of a percentage, just basically a shareholder to have a say. They valued my promotion. They valued me as a DJ, pretty much guaranteed myself a job, and just got paid as a promoter, as a DJ, and as a partner. But didn't have a key, didn't have an alarm code, wasn't on a liquor license. It was more just like a verbal handshake. Everybody knew, but it was not, which also gave me a lot more freedom because, one, I could walk away at any time. And just lose the initial investment, and two, a lot more freedom because I could still do other things. So I was still working at other bars. When I was at Minaj, I was pretty much only at Minaj. When I was at Lot, I was at Nash. I was at multiple different places too, right? So we had our hands in a few other things at the time too. but I didn't want the same commitment. Didn't want to be on the liquor license. Didn't want to be on the taxes. Like, just wanted a much smaller role after that.
I get it. So we're gonna show an image right there, and what comes to mind with this one right here? This one right here. You know, we're talking about Toronto nightclubs here. We're, you know, if you're from Toronto, if you're an old school person, you'll know what we're talking about. If you're not, well, this is what cemented whatever there is out there today. You know, and these were better times. Tell us about this right here.
So I was at Plastique before I was at Minaj, actually, believe it or not. I was doing Minaj Wednesday and Plastique Friday, and Minaj Wednesday was more like it was geared towards the waybacks, and Plastique was like the 2000s plus. But we would still play a lot of waybacks. There's only about a 5 or 6 year like gap, right? But Minaj was like strictly waybacks, and Plastique was newer stuff. So when I did that show for you, the 2000s and stuff like that, that was more along the lines of like the stuff I would play at Plastique, like breaking stuff, like E-Type, Rimini, that type of stuff. Plastique was a different time, but Plastique was also Freestyle Friday, so there was a lot more freestyle, whereas Minaj was more Europe. But it was good times. We had a lot of fun with it. It was fantastic, and Plastique was there before Minaj, so that's kind of where I got into all the Euro stuff. So it was a lot of fun.
Any other stories from Plastique? I mean, anything significant?
Well, I told one the other day about how I ended up getting the gig.
Yeah.
I think you were on the stream the other day. So I was there. A friend of mine, Tony, was there on the Saturdays. Eventually, Plastique split into 2 rooms. They basically did the hip hop upstairs and the good stuff and the Euro stuff downstairs. Constantine and I were friends. He ended up getting into a bit of a whiff with 103. He made a song. He wanted to play his own song. They told him not to. He did it anyway. Vito didn't go to bat for him. They basically said, "We're letting you go." This is Paul saying you have to pick a different DJ. I was already there on Saturdays, so they gave it to me on the Fridays. And like I said, about 10 years later, I was at Trist. I took off for a weekend, and Constantine filled in, and they liked him better, and they ended up giving him the gig. I was there for a year, so my time was probably up anyway. So that's just kind of how things turn around. Plastique was a lot of fun. That was, again, super high energy, lots and lots and lots of Euro. I was there Friday, Saturday at one point, and it was a lot of fun. Good times at Plastique. I was working with Scott, and then Minaj was with Tony. So
a very cutthroat industry. But we do have another image right here, which I want to show you. I mean, I'm nitpicking here from the.
You're digging. You did your research.
I'm digging. We're looking over here at this right here. Remember this? Remember this?
Let me just see who the. Yes, do remember that one at the docks. So Summer Rush was primarily Kingswood at Wonderland. Then they moved to the docks.
Was this your first Summer Rush?
4 or 5 years.
Was this the first one that you were DJing at?
What was the year?
This is the 11th annual, man. I don't know. I think it might have been 2001, 2002.
So Frankie J, Kevin Lillette was probably 2003.
Okay.
That was probably like 2003. I think I DJ'd about 3 of them. I DJ'd about... I think I did all 3 of the docks, and then I did 1 at Kingswood. But yeah, I mean, again, it was fantastic. You're up top, and you're looking over a sea of people. They were doing I think 15,000 is what the docks could handle, and it was just fantastic event. Did
you get to meet all the artists here?
Yeah, I actually picked up DJ Laza from the airport.
Really?
Diana Fox was on that same bill, although she's not in that one, but I do remember the year. Yeah, Diana Fox was on that same bill, and that was it. I was with Robbie I. Ended up picking up a bunch of them. There was a couple other people that were also on some of the other bills. Like I remember when Milk Inc. came and Glasgow and all them. Milk Inc. We were like, oh, we need to go to Niagara Falls, and we're like, it's like 2 hours away. It's just a waterfall. Like, no, we've seen it. We've got to go. So Ben and them took them all. Yeah, I picked up Diana Fox, and then they were all at They were all at Minaj the Saturday before for a big dinner. A bunch of them.
Wow.
I think Shauna Vanguard and a bunch of them were also on that same bill. So it's good. Good times.
We're talking about Plastique. We're talking about classic nightclubs like Club Minaj, Lot 332, festivals like Summer Rush. What is like your most memorable like event that you've been to? I mean, I know it's a hard question, but yeah.
So for a lot of those events, so in 2001, before I even kind of knew what I was DJing, knew a lot about DJing, I was just a kid. I ended up doing a cross Canada tour with Much Music, and the Boomtang Boys, and Rick the Temp, who is now ironically on 003. He's the morning guy, but it was cool. Get on a plane, fly out to Saskatoon, sound check at 5 o'clock, line up down the street. Best party city out of any of the ones in Canada that I've been to. Like we're walking out and there's a lineup down the street and we're like, well, we're going like to get changed and we're going like back for dinner. And you guys are already lining up in the bar. Got up the next
Sorry,
day,
which
flew
city
up
was
to
this?
Saskatoon.
Sorry? Saskatoon.
Saskatoon? Yeah. Got up the next day, flew out to Surrey, BC. Again, in a club, basically you land, sound check, you all go for dinner. Rick goes off and does as much music stuff. They come back. Got up the next day, flew to Edmonton. Did a gig in Edmonton at the West Edmonton Mall. Again, realizing the power of TV. Rick is walking around and there are stores like, wear this on TV. Like giving him product to wear. Please wear this on your show. Like just giving him free clothing. Then flew to Calgary and then Red Deer. And then 5 days later, this was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. 5 days later, flying back home. That was cool. And I was only like 21 or something at the time. It was a lot of fun. That was a significant event. Did some stuff with 103, DJ down in Cuba, DJed, in Dominican and a bunch of other places and stuff like that. So a lot of fun. Summer rushes were cool, big crowds. Each one of the live to airs and stuff was fun. I did Electric Circus one night, one Friday night when we got back from the Much Music trip. And, there's nothing really to pinpoint it because some stuff is more significant than others. But, did a lot of really good stuff. I don't have one that just jumps out, right?
No.
Summer rushes were big. They were fun. For that many people and stuff like that. The last summer rush I did was probably 2009, and I had just started the video pool, and that was where we introduced video at one of the summer rushes, and that was one of the ones back at Wonderland. So that was a lot of fun too. I see a question here, and I will answer it.
Which one? Which one?
Chris Shepard. So Chris Shepard is the main reason why I became a DJ. I think a lot of people did.
Really?
Put it on. And yeah, this is past CFNY days. This is when he was over on Energy from the Lyric, Kitchener, all that kind of stuff. Played hockey with him a few times. I used to play hockey with all the DJs. Monaco, Tom Malone, Scratch, a bunch of the guys from Government, Baby U, Mark Masters, Mike Harding, a bunch of us all used to play hockey. It was cool. Talk about pure industry talk in the dressing rooms. Shep did come out and play a few times. And my understanding now is he owns a few strip malls. Like owns a few of those, something where you see like a Max Milk and a couple of those things. That was the last I had heard of him. We tried to hire him at Minaj, at Lot 332 to come in. He basically wanted to do an hour and a half set of his dog whistle stuff. So later on in Shep's career, he went into kind of like more of that crazy house stuff, and he was like, we're like, no, we just want you to talk. We don't want you to DJ. We just want you to MC. And he's like, no, if I go, I want like my prime time in my room, and we're like, you're gonna kill it. Like, we just want you to host. We don't want you to talk. Offered him $1,500 and he turned it down. We were like, just want you to MC. Just want you to do the intro. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, so yeah.
The thing about Shepard, I mean, I always get so many messages about Chris Shepard. How can you get him on? How can you get him on an interview? Right? This guy, I have to say, he's probably one of the most mysterious people that I've ever heard about. Because he made such an impact in the dance music industry. He was such a staple in Toronto, and he just like that, he just disappears, and he doesn't do any more gigs. He doesn't do anything, And you got the pleasure of playing hockey with him and getting to know him just a little bit. Like, is this guy like he obviously has a passion for what he does, but what's his deal? Why is he so detached?
I don't know. He's always been quiet and mysterious, right?
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Shep didn't DJ all the time. He had 2 DJs that worked for him. So Sweat, Corey Bradshaw, and Peter Ivels, Peter the Greek, were his main DJs. He was mainly the host. Later on, as time went on, Iron Mike was his DJ and was kind of doing his tour and stuff. He was mainly a host, but yeah, just like kept to himself. Wasn't really. I mean, always had that voice. That was his natural voice, right? Yeah.
He put on the accent, though. He put on the accent.
Yeah, he played it up a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, sorry, he wouldn't play up the accent. He played up like the energy, right? But he was fantastic, and just like I'm reading on Twitch, like there's no internet presence. He just like has fallen off the earth when it comes to anything to do with life after that. It's like he was just bitter about the industry or whatever. He just completely disappeared. Whereas he could have still had a footprint for years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. A few years ago, I went over to Play the Record, and the owner over there,
Eugene.
he told me, yeah, Eugene, yeah, he still comes by every so often, buy some records, and I guess he's still
must just be for fun then, I guess, right?
Yeah, he's still about the music, right? We're gonna show one last photo here, just to give let's get Marky's opinion on this and how he felt when this happened, because he was a little bit you were a little bit removed from DJing a little bit by this point, right?
Yeah. So when the last way back when it happened, and I was told by Iceman, it literally would be the last one. Like, there is no chance this happened after this. So I was aware of it. Tony had, kind of said, why don't we just get the whole crew back together? So I did 1 hour, Delirious did an hour, and Funky did an hour. And those are actually on YouTube. If you go on YouTube, you can find that exact hour that each of us did.
Yeah.
It was great. Like, I knew it was the last one. I've hired Joey about 10 or 15 times. Fantastic guy, very personable, very down to earth. Never give him a deposit, man to his word. Where do you need me to be? I'll be there. You know what I mean? Just, he'll always make the best of it. Never, ever, ever have to worry about him. Like, the truest and most amazing artist, right? I obviously had the chance to work with him that night too. And he didn't even really put together like kind of a set. He's just like, I'm just going to kind of do what you guys want. Just kind of play what you want. So usually the artists have a complete track listing, and they'll play like a 20-minute set and they'll perform all those songs. He gave me a CD with 8 of his tracks, and he basically said, which one do you guys want to hear? Okay, Marky, go to track 6. Okay, go to track 8. And go to track 9. I was there. I was honored to be part of that day, and it was great. I mean, I did the first hour. Delirious came into the second hour, and Funky came into the third hour, and it was packed. It was good. But it was good times. And sad to see it go, because I knew that was literally the last one. Like, I knew that one, there was no more Life Dare after that. I think they went Spanish or something after that, but I knew that was the last way back Wednesday. So that was that Bloke. Bloke was owned by Paul, who originally owned, can't remember where it was before. I think it was Metro, and then it moved to a bunch of different places. But he had the Life Dare, and he's like, at this point, it's over. We're giving it up. So sad times. 13 years in the running.
It was bittersweet, eh?
Yeah. And then, I mean, like I said, I thought those days of being able to play, 3-4 hours of Euro straight, we're done. And
after that or before that?
No, after that.
After that.
Well, I mean, I didn't think you could do it all in a full club anymore. But you just after that, I was like, I don't know where I'm ever going to get a chance to do that again, right? And then along comes Twitch, which has a niche, because the thing about that music is that we all loved it as kids, but then we all grew up, and people always said, why don't you do Way Back Wednesdays on a Friday or Saturday? And it's funny because most of the time we didn't. We always catered it to a Wednesday. And people who were older who had kids were like, well, I got to go to work the next day. Like, I can't come out on a Wednesday. Why don't you do it on a Friday? It was almost like, we're too cool to do it on a Friday, so we're going to pick an off night. But I'm sure any club would be dying to have that many people on a Friday, where it's easier to draw people, or even on a Saturday. But we ended up just doing it, and ended up working out. I think there was a couple clubs that tried it on a Friday or Saturday, but everybody was like, "Oh no, Friday, Saturday, we got to be really cool." And as a lot of that crowd grew up, they said, "We'll listen on the radio, but we can't be there in person, right?" And unfortunately, that doesn't pay the bills. If they're not in the club drinking and supporting, just listening to it on the radio, it's great. I mean, people love it, but if you're not in the club to support it, that's it, right? And there's no live streaming where they can throw bits and keep it going. So it's that's the end of that. So that's essentially why it died, I think.
Unfortunate. Maybe, I mean, obviously we're seeing a resurgence of many things nowadays, right?
Yep.
Maybe we can see a resurgence of that. I mean, the music is still living on, right? We do have a few questions here before we end things off.
Yeah, let's fire away.
When can we expect another all-Canadian show, Marky?
Let's do it whenever you're ready. I was actually going to ask you, but when we have another show planned. So,
well,
let's do it.
We could definitely do something in March, and then if you're talking about all Canadian, we can do something again for July.
Yeah,
right, or
let's
for
do
June.
Something for let's do something closer to Canada Day again.
Yeah.
Now I podcasted all of them, so I have them, but I have them with the talking. So it
Yeah.
would be worth a refresher. I've dug deeper and found a bunch of stuff that I didn't play the first few times. So we
Yeah.
can definitely do another Canadian one. Did we do a Canadian freestyle one or just a freestyle one?
We just did a freestyle one.
Okay. I noticed that the numbers are higher for Euro. Now we can stick to Euro, but we can do
Typical.
that, or maybe
Yeah.
or maybe we'll just do a Euro / freestyle. We'll just go back and forth. I know that a friend of mine, Enforcer, who's always on my stream, he's like, I want you to do the night like Minaj. 20 minutes of Euro, drop down into 10 minutes of R&B, and then back up to freestyle, and then back into classic house, and just mix mash it all back together. So maybe on one of the streams we'll just go pretty heavy on that. But
Yeah.
we should give a quick plug. If you have the flyer that I sent you there, tomorrow the Geno's R Us raid train. So because of what we're able to do on Twitch, and I love the fact that I still have an audience that allows me to play Euro all the time. But there's guys like Vinny Vegas and Impressions and stuff that absolutely love it and don't get a chance to do it all the time. So tomorrow we've put together this 13-hour Geno's R Us raid train, which will include. I don't know if you have the flyer handy.
Let me try and get it. Hold on.
It'll start off with Driss K. Mike Harding's in there. I'm in early tomorrow too. We've got Storm, who's part of that and making a resurgence on Twitch. Do you have the other one with the names as well?
I do. Hold on, it's coming up.
We've got Storm. Jason 1 is going to be in there as well. Alex K. Staples is going to be doing a set. He doesn't necessarily do all Euro, but he, house, freestyle, anything like that. Samus is in there. Terry, who's great. You're in there. We moved you, gave you a little bit of a better slot a little bit later.
Yeah.
Vinny Vegas, Stevie P, who's on the radio, is going to be joining us for that one. And Vernimal, who's out, I think he's Chicago, is going to be involved in that. So about once a month, we're going to try and run this. That's 13 hours, 13 DJs. It should be a lot of fun, and that's tomorrow. So if you guys like the Euro stuff, which obviously you're all here because you do, that'll be tomorrow. We'll be doing that type of stuff. And I think because it's daytime, I think I might just throw it on a freestyle set and make it a little bit a little bit different. But I'm definitely down for the all Canadian Euro thing. Like you said before, we most people didn't know those songs were Canadian, or didn't think there was enough good Euro music to fill all that stuff. And I literally just have my music cataloged and with the term maple beside it, and literally just went in order, played almost everything, so it was good.
Definitely. So tomorrow, Geno's are us. We do have a couple of more questions here. Do you have any stories relating to Capital Sound? Have you
Yeah.
ever met them?
Oh yeah. I brought them in. So Capital Sound, fantastic guy. Obviously, they're from Ottawa, hence the name Capital. Um, Brought them in when we were doing our show. I think they came in the fourth or fifth week. It was their first show that they had done in 12 years. Um, One of the girls, Natalie Page, who also has the solo project, is no longer with the group. So they have a different girl. And brought them in. They were fantastic. Put up a full stage because they were like, when we come, we don't just want, an 8x6. We want like a full 12x12 stage. They came with the keyboards. They went and did everything. They also brought Roxy with them because they were also out of, Roxy's also out of that area as well. And they came, did a fantastic show. The one guy that you see in the video, he's deaf in one ear. He was a musician. He's one of the guys that raps in the song. So the four of them came along with Roxy, and they did the show a lot 332. Fantastic group, fantastic guys.
That's awesome.
And they actually won a Juno for Higher Love back in 1994. I actually voted on the Junos 3 years, and all three times they voted. My person has won. So the way the voting for the Junos go, obviously, I'm sure it's nothing like the Grammys. They give you a category, you're assigned, you're selected, and they basically say, this is the category, these are the 15 artists in this category, rank them 1 to 15. And I guess what they do is they take the ranks, there's 10 people that vote in every category, and they basically just put them all in order, and whoever's got the lowest number or the highest number ends up winning the Juno. So Swish won it the year I did it, Sound Blunts won it, Billie Jean the year I did it, and Martin Solveig, Hello, which features Martina from Dragonette, won the other year that I voted. So, I mean, they were pretty unanimous choices based on who was in the category. So this is the 3 years I voted, and all three of my picks won, so it was good.
Do you still get to vote for the Junos?
They pick me. I mean, I don't, I've never done it. The first couple times they kind of send you an email survey, you kind of email it back. The last couple of times it's been done through DMDS, Digital Media Delivery System, which is how the record labels now send music to you. I don't know how or who picked me, but I got this email from the Juno committee and said, you've been selected to vote, and if you want to decline, say no. If not, say yes, and we'll send you out the forms. So,
okay.
Pretty cool.
We have another question right here from Brett. Do you think live to airs will come back after COVID?
I think live to airs died before COVID, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah, and I'm going to give you my analogy. And actually, you and I had this talk briefly, and this is a different scope. So you asked me if you think that you should advertise your Euronation party on Z103, and my suggestion to you was no. And the reason I say that is because I'm going to try and paint a picture for you. But let's say you've got the entire Golden Horseshoe, and then you've got this one small nightclub way down here. And basically you've got from, let's say, Niagara Falls to Oshawa. And you're paying $150 a spot to advertise your particular spot here. McDonald's also pays $150 a spot, and they have got 100 chains from here to there. So you're paying the same as they are. McDonald's is open, some of them, 24 hours a day. And they're just promoting a brand. They're paying the same amount as you are, and they have coverage from Niagara Falls to Oshawa. $150 a spot. You're paying $150 a spot for one night for a specific audience. Specific audience being people who are willing to go out between the ages of 20 and 40 for one night at a one-time event. McDonald's is saying, just come visit us. And they've got all these locations. So I said, they get a much better reach and a much better bang for their buck because they have 100 locations open 24 hours a day, and their audience is to everybody. Whereas I've said to you, for you to pay that same money to just get a tag, to just promote a party on one night with a very small demographic, I would put the money in another avenue. So in terms of a live to air, live to airs roughly are about $5,000 a week. And essentially you pay for the commercials. And the live to air is essentially free. You pay for about 30 or 40 commercials, and you get that for free. But again, you're looking for a very small targeted group of people who will go out on a Wednesday night or a Friday night for $5,000 a week. If you put that $5,000 a week into McDonald's, for example, they're going to get a much better bang for their buck.
Wow.
So that's my opinion on it.
So the business savvy Marky D over here. What if we were to like promote our website or something like that instead of an actual event?
I think you should go more with targeted marketing. Word of mouth marketing obviously is the best.
Yeah.
That's my opinion. How Twitch grew, how my channel grew, how your channel grew. That I believe is the best. If not, you could do all that. Now, when Z103 is promoting like a 90s nostalgia, that's a different story because they're putting the party on or someone's paying for it. They're much bigger budgets, looking at much different demographics. The capacity is pretty much unlimited, can be 15, 20,000. There's multiple sponsors involved. It's a much bigger event. But if you were to promote a smaller event, like a Live Dare, I think Live Dares had passed long before COVID happened. I don't think COVID was the reason. And I'll be honest, like, from what I've seen from the radio stations, they're not really keen on it anyway. I mean, it was great money, but, like, you're off format, right? So you're not playing the same format on Live Dares you're playing. Like, I don't think that Z103 was too happy because we've had conversations about me throwing down 3 hours of Euro. They're like, that's not our format. Like, people listen to radio in quarter hours. Every quarter hour, you should switch up the music, R&B. And I'm like, but that's not what they want. That's not what the club wants. But that's what the radio wants. So, you have to find this kind of contrast of keeping the club happy and keeping the radio happy. So
100%.
They're off format, so I don't think they're really looking to go back to it.
We have Driss K over here saying, would you consider doing a nostalgia 90s Euro dance party one night only for the Twitch fans?
Are we doing this from in person, or am I doing it from here?
Driss, are you still here? Clarify.
I know you and I have talked about a specific type of thing. If we do kind of an event where we all throw down sets and we're all kind of, from here, then I would be more than happy to do that. If it involves going out, in public or something, I think that's something that could potentially be discussed. But I mean, if it's just a matter of throwing one down, kind of like we do raid trains and stuff like that, that's totally cool.
What do you think happened to New Music Records?
I actually spoke to the owner of them. Like any record label, New Music they were great. They had a great ear. They were signing a lot of the Italo stuff. Like most record companies, they don't need. It just kind of fizzled out when that music died. That music was cheap to license, but when that music died, it just kind of fizzled out, right? Nothing lasts forever. If you look at most of the record labels, Stevie B's label doesn't exist. Shannon's label doesn't exist. Little Susie's label doesn't exist. I mean, for that sake, EMI doesn't exist. And Warner. So, there's very few. And then you look at artists like Macklemore, who just basically said, I'm not going to sign to a record label. Ava Max was pretty much the same way. She's like, I'm not going to sign a record label. I can put my stuff on YouTube and put it on iTunes. Why do I need someone to promote me? Why do I want to give up my shares? Why do I want to be owned? So, there's different ways of going of it. I've always found record labels are important because Ava Max can say that, but record labels are the ones that take it to the radio and say, hey, we've got a new single for you. Why don't you guys all drop this? Like Fridays at midnight when The Weeknd drops a new album, every one of their tracks, every track is in every record label, or every radio station's music box at 12. They've all got it. They can all play it. They don't have to go find it. They just click on a link, they download it, they load it in. Everything's ready to go. So there's huge value in having a record label. But, in terms of the economics and stuff, New Music, I think it had its day, and they just packed it up.
Speaking of record labels, and let's talk about CDs. You've actually mixed some CDs recently. I mean, in the past few years for Much Music, which is surprising that they still have the CD line going on for Much Dance. What is the reason behind that? And do you still get calls to like mix like CDs
so I have,
that are
I've mixed 34 comps that are in stores.
Yeah.
the much line. So what happens is when they mix it, they would sell very few of the actual. Um, they would sell very few of the actual CD physical copy. They would mostly sell it on iTunes. The problem with iTunes is it's very easy to just buy the individual track. Like people buy singles now; they don't buy full CDs.
Yeah.
So you could buy it on iTunes as an individual and like it, but I've just found that people have access to so much music with Spotify and everything else that now they just decide that they're going to pick their own playlist. So the last one I did was in 2018. The person I dealt with at Sony, so I was getting them every second year. I was getting them every year that Sony mixed them. So it rotates, Sony Universal, Sony Universal, Sony Universal. Every year that Sony had them, I was their guy. So I would do all of the Sony ones, 2010, 12, 14, 16, 18, I think were the ones I did. And they give you the tracks, and they say, there you go, make it work. Now, the thing about it is you have to stay within 10 seconds of that track. So you have to stay within 10 seconds. If the song is 310, your mix, your particular version of that song can only be between 320 and 3 minutes. You have to stay within 10 seconds of the original track. So the mixing portion of it is a little bit more difficult because you can't just run a club mix. You have to give the version they give you, which is pretty much the radio edit, and make it work. So they were not like great mixes, but I just think with Spotify and with everything else, people just pick their own songs, and the whole idea of that just kind of dropped off. But Much Dance was still the number one selling CD in Canada, so they kept running with it because it didn't cost them anything to license it. It was majority Sony and Universal product, and they just said, we already own all the tracks, let's just put it in a CD that's going to sell.
That's wow. I'm still surprised that people are still buying CDs, but I guess they're not. You know, like you said, I don't know.
Most cars don't even come with CD players anymore. So
No,
it's a bit difficult to do that, right?
Yeah. Who is your favorite Euro DJ from anywhere in the world? I mean, you could just say DJ. I mean, even DJ. Who's your favorite? Who's your inspiration? For goodness sake.
Well, Shep was the one.
Yeah.
Shep was the one. My favorite DJ, I'm not shy to say it, is starting from scratch. He's my favorite DJ.
I like him a lot.
The thing I like about him is that he's willing to try different things, right? I don't put a value on big DJs like Tiesto and everything else because for the most part, they're playing songs beginning to end. Mixing dry beats over dry beats, I find, is fairly simple. Anybody can do that. It's pretty much why I don't let songs play either. Front to end, anybody can put dry beats over dry beats, I find. And the music sounds 90% the same. Like, you wouldn't know where they've mixed because it's all, like, up and down, but it sounds exactly the same. Scratch I like because he's willing to try different things and he's willing to dig. I know him as a person, so obviously that sways my decision a little. But he's the one that I would strive to be like, and he is not specifically taught me in terms of, like, had a conversation with him, but I try to model when I do a lot of that stuff since then. Because of the pandemic, he's given me a lot of his remixes, which he wants to go to video. He's actually tonight out in Texas working with Russell Peters, doing that, and he's doing all video. So we had a bit of a, when the pandemic started, he's like, I need all my stuff on video. And I really like his remixes, and I really like his song selection. So I did my best to do all that. So he by far is my favorite. Just what he can do and what he can change up. And I've had this conversation with him. I'm like, you went from this great DJ who could do a cappella, instrumental, mashup, do all this stuff, to just someone who wants to just mix. Like, why the drop? And he said, when it came down to it, and when I started doing stuff with Virgin and stuff, they don't want me to be creative, just play the songs.
No.
So he's regressed in some of his creativity that he had on Flow to where he's got a syndicated show on Virgin, and it's pretty simple. So
I got the pleasure of meeting him at your place last summer, and the one thing that I gathered from him is his personality. He doesn't seem like he has a shred of ego in him, in my opinion.
He walked in, said hi to every single person, regardless who it was. Totally humble. And when he left, again, same thing. Did the entire round, right?
Meanwhile, he's touring with Russell Peters, and he's got syndicated radio shows. It's just crazy, right? It's rare to
He spent
see.
a lot of time. Yeah, he spent a lot of time on Twitch helping a lot of people, and people
Yeah,
who like just the average person who just wanted an opinion. He spent a lot of time on. Very good guy.
yeah,
I've had the chance. Like we used to play hockey together, so we go back a long time ago. I knew him when he was still working at tracks down there on Young Street before he had a lot of his earlier success, and yeah, just like the most humble guy. And I've always said it's the guys who are willing to give back that have no equal that end up being successful because they just they just give out good positive vibes.
100%.
So, yeah, that party was good. Like I said, that was the first time I got to meet you in person too, right?
Yeah.
So we came from just these two people who had just met voices, and got a chance to meet you. And I like the fact that you are also streaming more often now,
Yeah.
going on during the week. And I also have really admired the fact that you've also put your camera on the side and just showed yourself DJing as opposed to just
Took a while.
music. And I think you
Yeah.
mentioned you might be getting a green screen and changing it up, and
Yeah.
you can look like Samus and Alex and myself, all at all these big nightclubs, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's been really good. Yeah.
We do have another question right here. What is Mark's all-time favorite remix that you produced? Have you produced remixes or?
So I mean, I don't have full production skills.
Okay.
I mean, I just do the little stutters and stuff. Our most successful one is the Venga Boys, Boom Boom Boom.
Yeah.
Did that with Kevin.
Kevin.
Did the stutters, the mega mix. We modeled a lot of our mixes the way Ultimix did, like 2 songs, break, mega mix, and then back to the original. That was kind of the way Ultimix did it. Boom 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 is good. Did that one with him, like I said. And then stuff like the Majorca one seems to do very well. People like that. Constantine actually came over. We did that. Ran the beat of, I think it was YBZ underneath it or something, or Mr. Rain or something, and then just had a couple little effects. So I used to make commercials at Z. I used to do production, so I'm pretty knowledgeable. I used to do some stuff for Hot Track. So
Yeah.
a couple of those little stutters. I kind of went through a phase when I was doing the All Ages where everything had stutters in it, and then it just became too much. So just wanted to back it off for a little bit. But Venga Boys, Boom Boom Boom. And luckily I've put a lot of those remixes now on video, so everybody can share them. The favorite one I play, which I did not do, is the JK one. That by far, JK Go On, is the most energetic one, and that was done by DJ Gee.
Okay. DJ Guy. DJ Guy. DJ
Yeah, I
Gee.
was just to say, it's not Guy, it's Gee.
Yeah.
So Gee, Glenn Knight, and Kevin K.
Yeah.
Had the term Mega Mix Remix, so they were the ones that did all those ones.
I got a text question here. Ask Marky D what he thinks of LMFAO Party Rock Anthem.
Great song.
Great song.
Great song.
Okay.
That was on one of my Much Dance CDs.
Yeah.
That one went into Pitbull. That one went into Pitbull. Give Me Everything Tonight, and we were debating. I have a little bit of say in terms of which ones, and I was like, I don't know which of the 2 songs was bigger.
Yeah.
But Party Rock Anthem, they just did perfectly. The song was just produced perfectly. I had a chance to meet LMFAO, actually.
Really?
And I'll give you a quick story on them. So after they came out with their very first song was I'm in Miami, they came into BPM for an interview. And the song they were pushing was Yes. And I was like, you guys, like in my opinion, the one we're all playing is Shots. Like, I don't think Yes, if you can look it up, I don't think that one's going to go anywhere. But Shots is the jam. That is the one everybody's playing. That song is like perfectly done. That is the ultimate club song. I'm like, no, we're going with Yes. And I remember the record label Interscope was there, and I was like, I don't know. So if you know, so I think it's Red Foo, or it might be the other guy. I can't remember which of the 2. One of them is the sons of Berry Gordy, who's the founder of Motown. And he wanted to carve his teeth. He obviously could have got a record deal just by the fact that his dad owned Motown. He's like, I want to carve out my stuff on my own. So Motown obviously is a label under Universal. Interscope is a label under Universal. He did not take any of his dad's advice. Didn't take any of his dad's power. Went out and got his own record deal.
Yeah.
So Berry Gordy had one other son, and that's Rockwell. And because Berry Gordy signed Michael Jackson, he said, I need you to do my son a favor. I need you to sing on a track. And that is Somebody's Watching Me. So that's why
Wow.
Michael sings on Rockwell's track, because Michael does not lend his voice out to any other person. He does sing on another track, 3T, a song called Why, and that's his nephew, I think. Well, Michael was no joke. He knew what he was doing, so he didn't. He
Yeah.
lent his voice out to a few people.
Paul McCartney.
Nephew or cousin. Actually, there's a funny story about that.
Yeah.
So as you know, Michael bought the Beatles catalog.
I didn't know that.
Michael and Paul did a couple songs together, say, and then The Girl Was Mine.
Yeah.
And I remember them. I read the story that they were kind of having drinks one day, and they were thinking. And Paul said, "I wish I had the money to buy back the Beatles catalog, the publishing." So with music, there's the music part and there's the publishing part. So I wish I had the money to do it. Michael had the money, and essentially bought the Beatles catalog, and Paul was pissed, and that was the end of that relationship. But he said, "I wish I had the money to buy it." It was $59 million in
Jesus.
1980, I think it was. Bruce Springsteen just sold his entire catalog for $500 million to Sony, and Michael Jackson bought the Beatles catalog for $59 million in 1980. So how's that for inflation? So
That's insane.
yeah. So anyways, so Michael Jackson, so Berry Gordy had two sons, Rockwell, and Michael lent his voice to him for Somebody's Watching Me, and the other son is part of LMFAO, and he literally cut his teeth all on his own without his dad's. I try to tell some of these stories in my streams, but sometimes you just have to pry them out of me. So when you say certain things, I just come up with it.
Yeah, I know, and then you gotta loop the song forever in order to get the story out, and yeah.
just a fountain of useless knowledge.
Yeah, no, for sure. Well, let's see. We got Keith Dean in the house. Yeah, I guess we're pretty much done. I guess a couple more questions, and then we'll wrap it up. Thinking all alumni station with 92,000 format would fly. Tony Monaco, Mike Devine, Kenny B, all in one station. I don't know. I mean, just
Yeah, Don Burns was on 88. He was hilarious. Don Burns was that name, and then Dr. Trance was his other, like more of his rave name.
Yes.
He was funny. He was funny in that. Tony's still on the radio. I was listening to him today. Hammer gave him a bit of a shout out, saying, when Hammer was growing up, he was listening to Tony.
Yeah.
But Tony is just he's just fantastic. He just has a passion for it. Can do any format. Very professional. Did the morning show for, when Scott left and went out to Kitchener. He ended up basically doing the morning show for, I think it was a year and a half, and he's the ultimate versatile jock, right?
Yeah, it's funny. There's one time I went to Gravity Sound Bar back in the day, and I went up to Tony Monaco. He was leaning against the rail, and I was like, "Tony, well, when are you gonna retire?" He's like, "When I die." He doesn't. He's ageless. He's timeless. Tony Monaco.
Yeah, he is. He's a buddy. I mean, he has the energy. He has the passion.
Yeah.
And as long as he has the passion, we all bugged him at one point and said, like, is Tony ever going to end up at Chum FM? And he could do any format. I've heard him just do any format, work at any gig, and he's just the true professional, right?
100%. Okay, I guess we will. We'll wrap it up here. I know Mark has to keep up with that sleeping schedule, right?
Yeah. No, this was a lot of fun. I'm glad to be part. I'm glad to be part of the first ever Behind the DJ. One of these days, we'll have to interview you, because I've got some questions for yourself about your whole story. For those who don't know, Maurizio used to call me, and he used to be like, "I want you to be part of this Euro Nation thing. I just want you to do it." And he would just leave a voicemail, and I was like, I don't know who this guy is.
Who's this random guy?
Yeah, he's like, I used to listen to you growing up. I just want you to be part of the show. And I was like, you know what? One of these days I'm going to tune in and I'm going to watch a show. When I watch the show, I was like, you know what? This is good. Because like I said, I have been contacted by a few of the other guys for the Wednesdays. And I'm like, I'm already doing Wednesday. If you want me to just, multi-stream to your channel, I will. But when I watch your show, I was like, this is truly like a proper demographic, right? Like the people love it.
Yeah.
You're true to your, you're true to the brand, right?
Yeah.
So it's nice that you've come out as well, where it's not just the equalizer and you talking, right? Where we get to see you and behind the scenes and stuff like that. So it's also nice to meet you in person at the Xtendamix party we had in the summer there.
Yeah, hopefully we can do it again, right? I mean, depending on
I'm off to Italy this summer, so it won't be that same weekend, but we'll make it work. Yeah.
Are you out for like a month or something, or?
No, I'm going for a couple weeks. But normally we do the second second week of August, and I'll be in Italy for that. So we'll pump it back a week, or we'll do it in July. So, but definitely, I mean, it's great. The 35 plus people we had last year, and all these great faces and stuff that we had a chance to, all these people that we had a chance to meet. Tina was there, Driss K, I mean, they're in the streams all the time. Ryan,
T-Green,
Impressions, Buddha, Terry, Scratch was there, Jay Online, D Money, all the Thunderstorm guys, and it was a good time. And then a lot of people who are not even DJs were all there, right? So some of the people who were out in all the streams, and Samus says he'll make it over. Mary came from California. We're hoping to get Disco Vinny this year, maybe if we do it. And it was,
and good times. And most of those DJs are going to be on the Genos or Us raid train starting tomorrow.
Yeah, Stevie P was there. Vinny Vegas was there.
Yeah.
And, just don't forget.
Love Bunny.
JDL was there. Love Bunny was there.
Jeff Lepard, who's killing it right now. Have you seen him lately on his YouTube channel?
No, I haven't.
Dude, the guy, he has like 5,000 people watching him every day now. Because he's over in Ottawa doing the convoy thing, right? So
is he?
Yeah,
I know that Kevin has a YouTube channel as well. Kevin lives in he puts the GoPro on and he walks around and basically shows you like a tour of what Niagara Falls is. So
they've both blown up over the past 2 weeks, right? Which I'm jealous, but we got to keep to the format here, right?
Yeah.
And speaking of the format, just on a side note for all of you who are watching right here, I've always wanted to get this show on a radio station here in Toronto, and a little bit of an announcement. Starting the 17th, we're actually going to be on Shock FM, CHOQ FM 105.1. Starting at midnight Thursdays, midnight till 3 in the morning. So a little bit of an announcement right there for everybody.
That's you just dropping 3 hours of. Are you doing any talking with it too, or
No. That is basically what we drop on the weekend. It's going to be a week delayed. It's going to be airing on there, right? And so it'll give us a little bit of exposure, hopefully for the night owls out there in Toronto, right? So
it's a start. Good for you.
Mark it down. Anyway, any last words, Marky D?
Nope. We'll definitely set up another couple Saturday night streams.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you've got Samus on, Alex on, Storm on, all those guys. Like I said, they'll be part of it tomorrow. But no, I appreciate doing this. It's nice to let everybody know some of the stories, and I'm sure we could talk for more and more hours, maybe at a different time. And I look forward to watching the other guests that you bring on as well when you get a chance to interview all of them. So should do that. This is a lot of fun.
Perfect. So tomorrow, make sure you all mark it down. Genos Are Us on Twitch. Starting off with Driss K. Driss K in the chat right now. He's going to start off at 12 noon. It's going to go all the way till midnight, ending off with Vernimal from Chicago. So mark it down, everybody. Marky D, it has been a pleasure having you on here. And,
pleasure to do this. Thank you.
And hopefully we can have other DJs on here for this. I guess it's a series now.
It's good. It's nice to hear some of the stories behind that. So I'm on tomorrow, 2:00 earlier than my usual slot, and every other Wednesday. Usually 8:00 at night. And Euronation just pops up whenever. I like that now.
I mean, the only thing scheduled is the Saturday shows, right? Besides that,
and I get the email notifications that you went live, and if I'm up and I just pop in and definitely watch. So I love the the community. That's the key thing, right? We all have a passion for the music, but the community makes everything great. So
awesome. Yeah. Okay. I will. I'm going to end the broadcast now. Just stay on for my final words for you, Mark. And thank you everybody on Twitch, on YouTube for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to tune in to DJs Are Us tomorrow. Sorry, Genos Are Us. DJs Are Us. Genos Are Us.
Don't forget to get this cool Euronation gear. Let them know where they can get it.
Yeah, right there at www.euronation.ca. We do have a shop for some apparel that Mark seems to love, and I always drop at his house in like 5 in the morning. I always arrive there at 5 in the morning to drop it off, and he just wakes up to a present. So yeah. Okay, thank you very much, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Stay tuned this Saturday as well for Euro Nation. Take care of yourselves and each other. Ciao.